Yes guys, welcome from me, Challenge Manager 0102, yet another video, yet another player profile, and this is someone that I said on my previous video that I had to do. I had to do this guy, because I've got so much admiration for this guy, in so many respects. There you see, Roy Keane, the monster from Ireland. Nah, Roy Keane, right, what can you say about Roy Keane? Where do we start with Roy Keane? So I'll tell you what I'll do, we'll start with his CM credentials first. Obviously, I fired up a game here until the end of Season 3. So we're 3 seasons in. And, I mean, he looks the absolute bollocks. Even at 32 years of age, he is an absolute fucking unit. I'm not sure about finishing at 17, though. That's an interesting one. But he really is an absolute monster. 3 seasons in for Man United, you can see... particularly his last season at 31 was his strongest season in terms of goals, assists, 775. It's very difficult to get Roy Keane, a bit like a few of the others at Man United. It's difficult to get Roy Keane unless you're going to start as Man United, or if you can pick him up at the end of his contract. Now, if you can, I mean, he's obviously signed a new deal there. You can see he signed a new deal a month ago, or nearly 2 months ago. But if you can get him at the end of a contract at 32, 33, you can get 2, maybe even 3 quality years out of him. You know, from a Man United perspective, he is an absolute fucking beast. He really is. You know, and I would always want to, not that I've ever actually experienced it, but you almost want Roy Keane and Vieira and Davids in a 3-man defensive midfield partnership. Can you imagine those 3? They'd be fucking immense, wouldn't they? They really would. But yeah, Roy Keane, like I said, he's very difficult to get. But if you can get him as a little club towards the end of his contract, if you can get him for 1 year, I mean, I think anything above 36, because of his position, I'd leave him alone. Take into account, guys, he will get you red cards. Let's take a look now then at red cards for the last 3 seasons. Yeah, 2 last season and 19 yellows. 1 the season before, 12 yellows. And in season 1, 3 red cards. So, 6 red cards in 3 seasons. You know, yeah, I mean, you knew that was going to be there. You knew it was going to be there within the game. He's picked up so many yellow cards as well. It comes with the territory. It's almost like you have that player, and I have this in all my games, you have that player that you get really angry that he got a fucking red card, but you still persist to pick him because he's a fucking performer. Roy Keane is exactly that, and that's exactly how he was in real life. So let's talk about him then from a real life perspective. Well, where do we start? We'll talk about his history first. So I started out in 89 as a team called, is it Cobe Ramblers? I referred to them as Ramblers, and I weren't sure how you pronounce it, but started out as a team in what I can only assume is in Ireland before getting that move to Forest in 1990. Then, of course, in 1993, he got the big move, and I think it was, I want to say here, 2.75. I remember it really well, 2.75 or 3.75, because at the time, that was big bucks to Man United. Now, he was at Man United from 93 right through to 2005. He ended his career at Celtic for a short stint. But let's talk about him with Man United. Now, Roy Keane is, you'd have Roy Keane in your team every day of the week. He'd also be your captain. Roy Keane, you'd want to play with Roy Keane. He's got your back, hasn't he? He's got your fucking back. I don't think I ever recall him smiling during a game, which is probably not a bad thing. But, you know, you'd feel that he would be such an influence to have in your team. Forget the fact that he's hostile and red cards and stuff. That comes with the territory. The only thing as a team manager you'd want is you need someone to come in to fill his boots, which is going to be very difficult. But, you know, let's talk about his exit from Man United. Now, I've seen the on-the-ball interview that he did and his treatment of Ferguson. Now, this is going to contradict something I said on my previous video here, but Ferguson takes no shit. So Ferguson proved it, and he took no shit with absolutely anybody. Beckham, Jaap Stam, Van Nistelrooy, Roy Keane. And I remember watching in the interview of Roy Keane, he said that the way he was treated like shit at Man United, just like legends were Brian Robson and Steve Bruce. So he doesn't hold back. He doesn't hold back. He also emphasises that he'll only talk to Ferguson if he gets an apology. He said something right, and I could not agree with this. Spot absolute 100%. Right? He put an emphasis on this interview. He was talking about Darren Ferguson, Alex Ferguson's son. Of course, Darren Ferguson is the current manager of my local team, Peterborough, and he's been sacked 3 times and reappointed 4 times. Never mind. And he put an emphasis when he was talking about Alex Ferguson. Alex Ferguson always does what's best for Man United. No sooner had Darren Ferguson been sacked from Preston, who was managing at the time, the next day, Man United pulled all their loanees out of Preston. And he put an emphasis. He goes, so that's what's good for Man United, is it? They're on loan at Preston. They lose their manager, then they pull. So, and he also said, he had his brother was a scout for Man United. Darren Ferguson was a manager. Jason Ferguson was an agent. He goes, I'm surprised his wife didn't have a job somewhere. He really ripped into it. Now, I've said this time and time again. I would love Roy Keane to be the manager of Peterborough United. And who knows, maybe one day I'll get it, given the fact that he's Irish and our owner is Irish. I don't know if he'd see eye to eye with Darren Ferguson, so he'd have to come when he goes, or Barry Fry, so he'd have to go. But I would love Roy Keane. Roy Keane takes no punches. Look at him in some of his interviews, they're fucking brilliant. Yeah, alright, some pundits are going to get things wrong, or have egg on their face with certain things that they've said, but, what is it he said? He said it on a match, I think, where a team had done shocking in the first half, and he said, "I'd pull them all out. I'd make them face the crowd." If you're not doing your job correctly as a player, and he's your manager, you would shit yourself, wouldn't you? You really would shit yourself because he's that intimidating. Then, of course, so I mentioned about the Ireland thing, about the Man United thing. Then there was the Ireland thing with Mick McCarthy when he got sent home. Mick McCarthy proved, to be fair, his worth as a manager, that he would take no shit. No player is bigger than the club, and I accept that. And I think, your manager, that for me proves a manager like Ferguson, like Mick McCarthy, that you take no shit. And maybe from the Ireland perspective, Keane, thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to just deal with it. The Man United thing, he's just going to have to deal with it. There's clearly 2 sides to every argument. That goes with the Jaap Stam exit from Man United, the Beckham exit from Man United. There are 2 sides to every single argument, and we only really ever hear one side. And, I think tabloids blow things out of proportion, and they talk 90% bullshit just to get you to read. But, he only made 67 appearances for Ireland and only 9 goals. He could have done a lot more. He's probably suspended for the rest of them. But he made his debut for Ireland in 1991, and he made his last appearance in 2005. So, let me just read something. 2005. So he made his last appearance at the age of 33. I've got so much admiration from him, and he also said on that same interview on the Ball, he would like to come back into management. He'd like to give it another go. Now, he's had Sunderland and he's had Ipswich, and I think he was sacked at both of them, to be honest with you. Republic of Ireland as an assistant, Villa as an assistant, and Nottingham Forest as an assistant. I would love to see him back. I really, really would. Now, the one talking point of Roy Keane that everyone always says about is he ended Alf Haaland's career. Yes, he did. And I've watched this time and time again. Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm sure you already know this, but I'll quickly recap it. So Roy Keane went down injured for Man United, and he pulled something, and he didn't get fouled. He just went down, and Haaland went in his face and called him a cheat. Get up, you cheat. If you Google it, you'll see what I mean. Haaland goes up to him and what's the word? Gets in. He's on the ground. Keane is on the ground in agony, and Haaland thought he went down looking for the free kick, But he didn't. He went down because he pulled something. Haaland goes into his face whilst he's on the ground in agony. He goes, get up, you cheat. And Keane didn't retaliate because obviously any normal Roy Keane would have retaliated, but he was in agony. And he was out for something like about 4 or 5 months. And on the return game, he ended Haaland's career with a crunching challenge. Gets a red card, doesn't even contest his red card, just goes off the field. And ended Haaland's career. So that's that. That's that. Now, I'm intrigued to know your views on that. Should he have served a bigger ban? Should he have, I don't know, what should he have served? As a result of all that, and I haven't really followed much this season, that with Erling Haaland scoring all the goals for Man City, I want to know what Roy Keane says about him. I'm intrigued, because it seems to have been shielded a little bit. I don't ever hear much on Sky Sports, because people must want to ask, do you rate him? Do you rate his dad? I'm intrigued, because I think Haaland, Alf Haaland is Erling Haaland's agent as well, I believe. Is that right? And I think Erling Haaland was born in England, weren't he? I read that somewhere recently. So I'm intrigued to know you guys' perspective of Roy Keane in all respects, as a player, as a red card machine, as an Irish international, as the guy that ended someone's career out of revenge, because he called him a cheat. I am really intrigued. If you've got anything you want to add to this, guys, share it with me. Anything you want doing, CM related, share it with me. Until next time from me, guys, take it easy.